This year, Sony introduced the ZV-E10, a new model in their vlogging camera line. It's not a replacement for the Sony ZV-1, which was released last year, but rather an improved version with interchangeable lenses and a bigger sensor. The pricing of this camera is much more intriguing. It costs a little more than the ZV-1, but less than Sony's a6100, with which the ZV-E10 shares a number of similarities. Hello tech friends, welcome back to our channel. For today's video, we will be looking closely at the Sony ZV-E10 to see if it is really the best budget vlogging camera as they claim to be. If you're just starting out as a content creator and don't want to spend all your cash on very expensive gear just yet, you might be wondering what to buy. Is the Sony ZV-E10 the best budget vlogger's camera for the job? We'll see. Even with the 16 to 50mm kit lens attached, the Sony ZV-E10 is significantly bigger than the ZV-1, but still quite small. The camera's body weighs 343 grams, although the overall weight varies depending on the lens. The camera keeps the shortcut keys for vlogging features like product showcase and background defocus that we saw on the ZV-1, but the arrangement is slightly different. As you can see, the Sony ZV-E10 features a new mode button and an extra dial on the top that cycles among stills, video, and S&Q or slow and quick shooting modes. A 3-capsule microphone and a hot shoe connector are located on top of the camera because there's no built-in electronic viewfinder or EVF. You must use the LCD screen for all framing and camera interaction. But since this camera utilizes the same battery as the a6100, the Sony ZV Handgrip E10 is thicker than the ZV-1's. All of the panels have excellent construction quality as well as excellent fit and finish. 2 flaps protect the microphone, USB Type-C, micro HDMI, and headphone ports on the left. We also have a single compartment on the bottom of the camera for the battery and SD card on one end and the tripod mount on the other. Now, unlike the ZV-1, the ZV battery E10s may be changed even while the camera is placed on a tripod. The Sony ZV-E10 has a 3-inch touch-enabled, fully articulating LCD display, and a touch capability is restricted to changing the focus and reviewing photographs, like with other Sony cameras. For around $699 US, you may have the ZV-E10 body alone, or with the motorized 1650mm kit lens, which retracts inwards when the camera is turned off for a smaller footprint for only less than $1,000 US. The power zoom slider on this lens allows you to zoom in and out of your subject seamlessly. It has an aperture range of f3.5 to f5.6. So it's not the brightest or quickest lens out there, but it'll suffice for casual use. The greatest difference between the ZV-E10 and the ZV-1 is the ZV Bigger E10's 24.2 megapixel APS-C sensor. This new camera uses Sony's E-mount technology, which means you'll have plenty of lens options. The ZV-E10 includes many of the same capabilities as the a6100, including a native ISO range of 100 to 32,425 phase detection and contrast detection autofocus points, animal eye autofocus for stills, and a maximum burst shooting speed of 11 frames per second in high plus mode. With the support for complex image profiles such as S-Log3 and HLG for HDR workflows, the ZV-E10 outperforms the a6100. When linked to a computer through a cable, this camera may be used as a webcam. There's also Wi-Fi connectivity for transferring images to your phone, for which you'll need Sony's Imaging Edge app downloaded on your smartphone. Existing Sony mirrorless camera users will be familiar with the menu interface. Although you can't go through the menus using the touchscreen, you can get about rather quickly if you get the feel of using the buttons and back dial. From here, you may alter the autofocus tracking speed, the default shortcuts on the back dial, and much more. Now let's talk about its performance and battery life. The ZV-E10, like the Sony ZV-1, makes vlogging a breeze. Simply point the camera at yourself, and the excellent tracking technology will do the rest. When you're vlogging and want to eliminate distractions, the background defocus shortcut comes in handy. The flip-out screen makes it simple to see whether or not this function is engaged. When you want the camera to focus on an object you're holding up without having to block your face, use the product showcase shortcut. When face tracking is off, the camera will automatically adjust focus to the item nearest to the lens. The LCD screen displays a broad red bar to indicate that recording has begun, which is helpful. Another feature that is also super useful is the ability to power on the camera by simply flipping the LCD display open. But remember, you'll have to leave the power switch in the on state for this to work. Now, in terms of image quality, the Sony ZV-E10 outperforms the Sony ZV-1 due to its bigger sensor. Our ISO test clearly demonstrates the benefits of an APS-C sensor over a 1-inch sensor. The Sony ZV-1 produced a grainy image at ISO 12800, but the Sony ZV-E10 produces a rather clean and crisp image at the same ISO level. When comparing ISO 12800 to lesser ISO settings, there's a little reduction in quality, although it is scarcely perceptible. Only when you approach the ZV Natural E10's maximum ISO 32000 level will you notice a loss of sharpness and a hint of grain. This ZV-E10 has a maximum extended ISO of 51200, but image quality suffers noticeably at this setting, so it's best reserved for severe conditions. Overall, the camera outperforms Sony's own a6100 in terms of high ISO performance for the price. The Sony ZV-E10 is ideal for recording ordinary sights and activities in a casual manner. That is why it is really perfect for your daily vlogs and updates for your YouTube channels. The 16 to 50mm kit lens has a good clarity at its widest focal length, but it deteriorates as you zoom in. Although in several shots you might see some chromatic aberration, it wouldn't be terrible enough to destroy the shot. Since the lens does not have a particularly wide aperture and grows narrower as the focal length increases, the camera prefers to use a high ISO even during the day, but you'll get better results with this camera if you use a fast prime lens, so that's really not a problem here. Eye and facial detection are also highly effective, even in 4K video. The Sony ZV-E10 offers Eye AF, albeit only for human subjects. Depending on your topic, you'll need to remember to switch the Eye AF to either human or animal mode. Sony's tracking focusing is also rather good, and the reticule remembers your subject even if it travels out of the frame and then back in. You might also want to take note that daylight shots taken with the Sony ZV-E10 generally had good details and colors, given the limitations of the kit lens. In low light, the noise reduction feature in the camera does a decent job with keeping images clean. There's electronic stabilization which worked well enough under good light, but at night, there was a noticeable jitter in video. Rolling shutter was an issue when shooting at 4K. It's a jelly-like effect when panning the camera left to right quickly, but this effect was minimal at 1080p. This could be a big problem if your shooting style does include rapid pans. If it does, then you'll have to use a lower resolution to avoid it. Battery life was more than satisfactory. The Sony ZV-E10 uses the same NP FW50 battery as the a6100, but is rated to deliver a slightly better 440 shots per charge. What's to love is that even with mixed usage of stills, burst shots, and short 4K video clips, you may still be able to comfortably get through more than half a day of shooting. The ZV-E10 can be powered through its USB Type-C port too, so you can continue filming if you connect it to a power bank. And to conclude, the Sony ZV-E10 combines the finest features of the ZV-1 and the a6100 in a single device and is priced similarly, making it an easy decision. I believe it's safe to say that the ideal vlogging camera has yet to be discovered. Despite its flaws, the ZV-E10 is a fun camera that works well, but I'm not sure who I would suggest it to over other alternatives on the market. This may be a decent B camera for vlogging if you're already involved in the Sony ecosystem. Also, for the money, it has one of the greatest focusing systems available, which is something to consider. So if you haven't already purchased the ZV-1 or the a6100, you should consider this Sony ZV-E10. Everything about the ZV-E10, from its sensor to its AF system to its video capabilities, is identical to Sony's entry-level a6100. However, there are some important design and feature distinctions that distinguish them. The ZV-E10 is simply Sony's ZV-1 vlogging compact reimagined as an entry-level APS-C ILC. So yep, that is Sony's ZV-E10. I hope we were able to help you make up your mind. If you're looking for the best budget vlogging camera there is, here is the Sony ZV-E10. So what's your favorite feature in our recently reviewed cam? Let us know your thoughts. You know the drill. Thank you guys for staying and watching. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you again in the next video. Bye!